Hello, so nice to see you lovely people today. So today we're really honoured to have the amazing Sam Rathling join us. She knows everything there is to know about LinkedIn. She's a fantastic speaker, and I've heard her several times on the stage at Expert Empires talking everything about LinkedIn and how she's grown her business. And we're really lucky to have her here to give us a bit of a masterclass and Q&A session to teach us all the things that we can do to improve our game on LinkedIn. So please do welcome to the screen the lovely Sam Rathling. Here we go.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Joe. How are you?
Oh, I'm really good, thank you, darling. It's lovely to see you. Oh, it's been a while. Indeed. Good stuff, good stuff. So basically, I'll just give you a bit of a rundown as to why I've invited you in here, because basically over the last couple of weeks in our Ambition Growth Network, we've been having a kind of real focus on LinkedIn. My business has changed a lot over the last couple of years. It was very B2C, but it's become a lot more B2B now, and using the different platforms. So we've had a really big focus on LinkedIn and how we can kind of, get leads in to generate more income and get those connections really kind of building up from that point of view. So we've been doing quite a few little bits and pieces. So I thought, well, actually, let's bring the queen of LinkedIn and tell us all about it. Sounds good. So do tell our guests, obviously, what you do and what it's all about.
Perfect. Well, thanks for the invite, first of all, Joe. It's great to see somebody like yourself who takes what I teach and just starts implementing and, of course, then shares it with their community. So thank you for being such an avid fan and for sharing the love. And it's great to be here. So thanks for jumping on for those of you that are watching live. And obviously, if you're watching the replay, if we're not already connected, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. You'll find me at Sam Rathling. And just mention that you saw me on the on the Ambition Growth live stream, just so I know where you came from. Was get a lot of inbound messages on LinkedIn. So my background is I've been teaching LinkedIn for 10 years, over 10 years now, actually. I've been using LinkedIn for 17 years, and I've been doing lead generation for myself and my other businesses for the last 15 years, really. So I've really mastered this platform, and it's the only platform I focus on. Written a best-selling book about the topic called LinkedIn Bounce. If you don't have that, grab yourself a copy, or maybe put the link to that in the comments afterwards, Joe, just to help everyone.
We'll do that in there.
But I'm happy to obviously today just answer as many questions as people have got. So I know, Joe, you've probably got some questions for me already, and I'm sure there'll be some coming through on the comments as people are watching as well. So I haven't really kind of prepared any kind of slides as such. I like to kind of just come onto a Q&A like this and just be able to answer anything that anyone throws at me, really. So, so I'm sure you have some things you want to ask me, Joe.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So the first question, obviously, we have recently set up a WhatsApp pod. I just wanted to kind of speak to you about that because obviously quite a few of our members have joined in the WhatsApp pod and kind of really dedicated to liking, commenting, sharing on people's posts. And I think obviously looking at the engagement levels, but also as a good way to get to know the other members as well, but also understanding the algorithms behind obviously how we get our voices out and our vision out to the rest of LinkedIn, because the reach can be really fantastic if people engage in it. I think obviously in some of your talks previously before, you've mentioned you can put fantastic content out there, but if you haven't got an audience to kind of understand it, visualize, connect with it, it's a bit of a pointless exercise. So obviously, could you run through a little bit about kind of engagement and kind of how to really get the algorithms going so that we can get better views? And
yeah, sure. So it of course comes down to firstly knowing your ideal client. So I use a little acronym to help people understand and really kind of think about their ideal client. So if you guys have got a pen and paper handy, just write down the word ideal from top to bottom. So the I stands for the industry sector that you're focused on. So you might have one or two different ones, or you might be very broad at the moment and you're wondering why things aren't working for you. So the more niche you can be and the more targeted you can focus your content on a specific audience, the better. The D stands for demographic. So think about within that industry, what size of company do you want to be working with? How many staff have they got? How long have they been established? What kind of revenue are they doing? So think about almost creating a picture in your mind of your ideal client. not the ones that would just be very low value clients for you. I'm talking about the ones that would pay you the biggest amount of money. That's the ideal client, really. The next thing is the E, the experience. So who in the organization do you want? Do you want the decision maker, the CEO, the MD of the company, or do you need to speak to HR, operations, or finance? Who is it specifically in that company that you want to engage with? The A stands for attributes, so more to do with their culture, their ambitions. As a business, you know, are they fast growing, fast paced scale up type companies, or are they a bit more traditional, set in their ways? There might be family businesses. So think about the kind of attributes that they have. And finally, the L stands for location. So where do you want these people? So think about your ideal client and get a real picture before you ever start, you know, focusing on content, because unless you know who you want, there's no point in posting stuff out there. So that would be kind of the first step. The key with content is definitely about consistency. So showing up regularly. The amount of people I talk to are LinkedIn lurkers. So they're just kind of like sitting back and watching what's going on. They never engage in anything and they're like invisible. But a lot of those LinkedIn lurkers could actually end up being your next best client. So don't get disheartened if you're putting stuff out there at the moment. It's maybe not getting the level of like engagement that you want. You're better off to be very consistent and actually try and test out different things. I teach 14 different content themes, and there are also 10 different types of LinkedIn posts. So that on its own is a combination of 140 different posts that you could put out there onto the newsfeed. So people are very stuck a lot of the time as to what should I post, and they sit there staring at their computer or their phone going, well, what am I going to post about today? It's very common. But I did write an article about that topic very recently. So if you guys click over to my LinkedIn profile, there's an article called 10 Amazing Ideas for Content Creation on LinkedIn, and that will be a good starting point.
That'd be brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. Lovely. Excellent stuff. Yeah, I think as I said, obviously it's keeping it kind of like regular is really important. And I think actually I've seen quite a big increase in my own kind of trending and following and likes, just because I'm putting stuff on there kind of 5-6 times a week, and engaging in other people's contents as well. I think obviously when you have that reciprocal kind of thing as well, it really helps, doesn't it? Because I think the more people go out there just to get what they want rather than to share and collaborate and grow together, I think you have that really kind of I've one pet hate I have is when you connect with someone and literally straight afterwards it's a sales pitch, and it really just makes me cringe, and I just think, oh yeah, let's take it a bit slower and kind of build up to that.
Still can't believe people are actually still doing that, but unfortunately they are. So I mean, I always say to people, go to LinkedIn to give, don't go there to get.
Definitely. No, I think that's really
others, advise, be helpful, build relationships. But the people that go there to get or to hunt or to pitch are just doing LinkedIn all wrong. So please don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about building that network, isn't it? And again, just spending the time actually giving value, but also kind of allowing people to get to know you a little bit personally as well. I think when I first started using the platform probably 3 years ago, I said I didn't quite understand and grasp it. So I was very corporate in the way that I did stuff, and it was all very boring, and I was like, actually, I just wasn't getting any engagement because it wasn't what my ideal client wanted, I suppose, from that point of view. So it's a bit of trial and error, isn't it? But I think obviously, actually looking at other people's posts that are successful and what they can kind of grasp from it. And I think keeping it about the current times as well. So keeping it quite interesting about, and I said with the coronavirus pandemic that's been going on recently, there's been so many key things that people are really interested in and finding out about and how they can kind of change their business, isn't it? And I think people are grappling for ways of changing. So that's quite cool. I like it. So one of the other questions that I had with regards to, because we've been discussing LinkedIn, and one of the ladies in the group, Bracken, put quite an interesting question to us yesterday. And that was with the pods, or if obviously you've got a group of friends on LinkedIn, do LinkedIn pick up that it's the same people commenting?
They do. They didn't used to, but they do now, unfortunately. So you do need to be very careful with pods and groups and things like that. There are some that work quite well, but most of them invariably don't. And LinkedIn will pick up if it's just the same people liking and commenting on your content. So I'm not the biggest fan of them, to be honest. But if you've got set rules and you all agree and you all sign up to the fact that, you know, like, even if it's just once a month, everybody gets their turn. But if you're just posting every single time you put something out there and you're throwing it into the group, and then people get tired of that quite quickly. So I know of one where they have very strict rules, and if you don't engage 3 times, you're out the group. So it's kind of very, you know, so that, because otherwise you get the same old people just doing it all the time, and then not everybody giving. So I'm not a big fan of groups and pods and trying to drive engagement. It's trying to trick the algorithm, and LinkedIn's kind of picked up on that. So I would be a bit wary of that.
Wary of it, but yeah, okay, cool. No, that's really interesting. And I was having a look through some of the other questions that people have come up with. So one question, obviously I was speaking with my lovely business partner Carly, so she obviously runs, she set up the coronavirus business support group, and again, she's a very dynamic business person and entrepreneur. But LinkedIn has said, obviously, when you've got your profile, it's very CV based, and it looks very, I think obviously you've got that big section where you can describe yourself and kind of make it a bit more personalized. But when you own more than one company, this is a bit of a tricky one, because it's knowing which company to have as your main company on there. And obviously when you've had a company for 10 years or so, and you of traction with it, and how's the best way to kind of order it? And also, would you have all of your companies on there so that when you're asking for recommendations, it's very tricky if they haven't worked with you in that particular company? How would you kind of look at it from that point?
Yeah, so I get this question quite a lot. So it's, of course, many entrepreneurs have multiple hats that they wear. And I always say to people, definitely have them all on your profile, as in each part of your work experience should be dedicated individually to each of the companies that you're involved in. And actually you get quite a lot of text space to write about each individual company, and you can put media links up there for each one as well. So you can use each individual work experience section almost as like a mini web page, I guess. The about section though, and the header and the very first part of your profile should be dedicated to the business that you're really focused on within the LinkedIn environment. So everyone always has one that they're either majorly focused on growing at the moment, or that they feel that LinkedIn is the best place for them to be focused on. So I'd normally say to people, spend about 80% of your about section on the core business that you're mainly focused on for LinkedIn. Make the banner very focused on that. What you don't want to do is confuse people. So if you are doing a very targeted content strategy for one business and a very dedicated prospecting campaign, connecting with people that you want for a particular business, then only primarily focus on one of the core ones that you're doing. It doesn't mean to say that in 3 months from now or 6 months from now, you couldn't shift it around and make the profile very focused on another business, but invariably there's going to be one that the target market is totally right for LinkedIn, and it's the one that you're really focused on growing. So keep it as much focused on one as possible, but use that work experience section to have multiple elements on your profile.
Sure. No, that really makes sense, actually. I put a little post out about SSI. I know obviously you're quite a big fan of checking those out, isn't it? So can you explain to the guys about SSI and how that works, how we can improve it? Obviously we'll put a little link in, I'll pop that on while you're talking about it and have it at the bottom of the screen. So that
the SSI score is really key to understanding something called social selling. So every one of you has this. So if you've never heard of this concept before, I'm sure you do if you're in your group, Joe. But it's called the social selling index. Everybody has a score out of 100 points as to how well they're doing this thing called social selling, which is effectively made up of 4 key areas. We'll give you the link in just a second so you can go check out your link. It's linkedin.com/sales/SSI. So just jump onto that link and go check out what your current score is. Don't worry too much about what the score is today, because the good news is it updates every 24 hours, and just a few small minor tweaks here and there to your activity can shift the needle on that quite quickly. Ideally, you want to be aiming for a score in the high 70s, ideally the 80s. It's really hard to go beyond 80s, especially without Sales Navigator. If you're on a free account on LinkedIn, high 70s is about as much as you can get, unless you're really good, and then you might hit 80, 81, but you do really need some of the more premium tools of LinkedIn to push it much higher than that. But certainly high 70s, 80s is where you need to be aiming. The score is made up of 4 categories, and they're all different colors. So when you have it in front of you, the orange score is called Establish Your Professional Brand. Now, that's all to do with your profile and how effectively completed your profile is. And there are 15 different elements on your profile that need attention. And the second part of the orange score is made up by content and how much you're out there being an original content creator, writing articles, creating posts, and really positioning yourself as someone who's a go-to expert. So if you really want to be like the go-to person for what it is that you do within the LinkedIn environment, then you want to make sure your orange score is as high as it can be, which is max 25 points. I think mine's sitting at 24.5 right now. But I'm positioning myself as like the go-to person for LinkedIn. So if you are somebody that's an expert, coach, mentor, somebody that's like, I want to be known as top of my game in something, then that's the score to focus on. The purple score, which is called Find the Right People, that's much more to do with building your network. So are you prospecting daily? Are you adding people in your target market to your network who go back to that ideal client we went through at the start? If you're not prospecting every day, then you're not adding people into your pipeline. So your excuse might be, well, I'm busy, I've got projects to deliver, I've got clients to look after. But if you're not adding people every day into your pipeline, in 90 days from now, you won't have a pipeline of people to talk to. So I always talk about prospecting daily, even if it's just adding 10 people a day in your target market, 5 of which should accept if you're doing it right. 50% plus should accept you when you reach out to them. Always personalize the introduction, but certainly you need to be adding 10 people a day into your network who are the right target market. So that's all to do with building your network and proactively adding people in there. So if you're not prospecting at the minute and all you're doing is relying on the inbound invitations that you're getting from kind of being a bit active on engagement, then you're missing a trick in terms of building your brand. The third score, which is the red one, is called Engage with Insights. Some of that is allocated towards what you do within Sales Navigator. So you can't score that highly on that one unless you have Sales Nav. But certainly engagement, liking, commenting, sharing, using LinkedIn for research purposes, that's all to do with Engage with Insights. The interactions that you're doing engagement-wise will be contributed there. And the final one, which is the one that most people score highly on, is the green one, which is building trusted relationships. So overall, those points make up an overall SSI score. You can see in the top right that you have a percentage score for your industry. So if you're comparing yourself to everyone else that does what you do, you can see how you fare. The great news is most industries average 20 to 30 points. So if you're currently scoring more than 30, you're probably higher than average in your industry. But it also means that's a huge opportunity against your competition. So if they're rubbish at LinkedIn, see that as a massive opportunity to just elevate your brand way above and beyond them. So the SSI score should be the basis for you kind of getting a gauge as to where you are right now. And a kind of it's almost like a measuring stick. Someone described it the other day as like a credit check, or like a credit report for your LinkedIn, which I thought was a really nice analogy. So yeah, so that's what that is. But it's very handy for seeing what you need to work on and where your gaps are.
Definitely, yeah. I think, I did it at one of the talks that you did up in London last year, and I think, I kind of looked at it. I was like, oh, that's not great. But actually, I've improved on it so much, Jane, obviously, which is really nice to see that score change. And I think, like your credit score, it's something that you should really be checking on just to see that benchmark, isn't it, as to where you're at with regards to other people in your industry. And I said, there's millions of users out there on LinkedIn, but only probably a very small percentage. You probably know the percentage of people that are
actually only 3.5 million people on the whole of LinkedIn that actually post content consistently, and there are 675 million plus users. So it's such a small, minute percentage of people that actually post. So if you do start going from, well, I'm not posting at the minute, to actually posting, you suddenly elevate yourself into this small minority of people who are actively out there creating content. Definitely don't be using any kind of automation tools or like scheduling tools. LinkedIn doesn't like those. So just create an original post either directly from your phone or from your desktop, like in real time. That will give you the best results for sure.
Okay, cool. Right, I've got a little question come in here from one of our members, from Sven. So I'll pop that up on the screen. So it says, how much should I introduce myself in the connect request without being salesy?
Okay, great question, Sven. So in your initial connection request, I wouldn't even mention at all why you want to connect with that person. Even if you do want to sell to them, I would not be putting anything in that connection request that is in any way about you or why you want to talk to them. So keep it nice and short and sweet. You only get 300 characters anyway. But you definitely don't want to be saying why you want to connect with them, at least in the first message. And even in the second message, to be honest, the follow-up message needs to be very focused on the customer and not you at all. The mistake most people make is they go in with a connection request. A few seconds later, once you've accepted, bang, it's all about them. Buy my stuff. We're amazing at this, that, and the other. Here's our website. Here's our stuff. Please buy from me. And they've missed that crucial step, which is the relationship building and the credibility building piece. So, that is the secret sauce, really, in terms of how you reach out and how you connect with people. But if you do it the right way, you can get a 3 to 8% response rate minimum on second messages. So, yeah. But definitely don't mention anything in your first message. It should just be very nice and simple. Try and pick out something in their profile, something that's personal to them. Don't make it look very blanket, like we're sending the same thing to everybody. Make it as specific to them as possible by mentioning maybe their location, their industry. Pick up something on their profile, maybe have a look at their profile. You can generally glean a lot about somebody from their LinkedIn profiles through just having a quick scan. And, you might find something you share in common. You might have gone to the same university together. You might have some mutual connections. Quite often you'll have mutual connections. So I do recommend prospecting at second degree only, which is where you've got some mutual connections.
Yeah, well, that's a really good tip, actually. It's something that I don't tend to do very often. I think because it's not a practice that I've got into, prospecting kind of complete strangers. A lot of the people that I do, obviously, I do a lot of networking events. So after each networking event, connecting with them and then building that relationship up. So it's kind of, I suppose it takes a bit of practice, isn't it? And understanding kind of how to, start that first flow of conversation with people, isn't it? And I think it's going to take a little bit of time. So thanks, Sven, for that one. That's awesome. Let me just hide that one away. If anybody else does have any lovely little questions for Sam about LinkedIn or how they can kind of improve their game on there, feel free to message in the comments. If you haven't used StreamYard before, obviously do make sure that you give permission to use your face and your name so it comes up looking like Sven's little comment. Looks much nicer, doesn't it? Looks really cool, doesn't it? It looks like we're on the telly.
Nice, I like it.
Oh, Carly said, hello, ladies. So, yeah, hi, Carly. Give her a little wave. Lovely. Very excited.
Shout out. There she is.
Absolutely. We do have someone that has put a little comment, but they haven't said yes to StreamYard. So it just says Facebook user. So we don't know who they are. And it's really sad, isn't it? But hello.
They're here, which is good.
Definitely. So yeah, no, that's really good. As I said, obviously we went through and asked a few questions in our group and stuff yesterday. So yeah, most of it was about what kind of posts and how to get the most engagement from them. I said, obviously you've mentioned that there's like 10 different posts and 15 different ways of doing it.
So
kind of a different.
Maybe I'll pick up a couple of them. So the ones that are a bit less known by people, obviously you guys know that you can post video posts, you can post photographs, you can just use text only. But one of the lesser known about ones is a document post. Now these actually, the algorithm loves document posts. So this is where you're uploading either a PowerPoint slide deck, just a few slides, or a PDF document with quite high level, simple tips, but nice and big and nice and branded. You can see a few examples if you just jump over to my LinkedIn profile, click on all activity, and then in the top there you can see document posts. And this is where you're essentially sharing your expertise, you're sharing your advice, tips, etc. And LinkedIn turns the post from a PDF or a PowerPoint slide deck into almost like the turning pages of a book. So it looks really cool. And every time somebody clicks to the next page, the next page, the next page, that is literally moving. The algorithm is going, well, this must be a good post because it's getting lots of engagement. So if you focus on kind of something that's maybe 12 to 20 pages, not lots of detail, but just very high level bullet points on top 5 tips for this, or top 10 ways, or the top 8 things I've learned in lockdown, or whatever it is that you feel like sharing, But a document post can get a lot of engagement on it without as many reactions as some of the other posts. And also text only posts work really well as well. So a lot of people think that you've got to put videos, you've got to put photos on everything. You don't. And you can have a really engaging discussion point that is a long form piece of text that actually drives a lot of engagement as well. A key thing would be to put questions on your post. So just by adding a question, you'll drive engagement that way. So if you just do a post about what you're up to, there's not really much to say. But if you do a post about what you're up to and then add a question into the body of the post, you'll start to drive engagement. So last week I did a post about, it was my most recent post. It was about having quite an internationally focused week. Sorry, I've got a dog in the background. Coco is just joining the live stream. So I did a post. It was about having a very international week. I did a little picture with some global hands and talked about I'd been all around the world last week from the comfort of my own home. And I asked the question, where have you been this week? And everybody commented underneath which countries they'd been in, which countries they've been interacting with. And it's still going today. It's like, you know, a really good post on LinkedIn will keep going for a few weeks. So I think it's had, you know, well in excess of 6,000 or 7,000 views at the moment. And I haven't even gone back to most of the comments yet. So as soon as I jump back into that post and respond to all the comments that are still unresponded to, that's just going to keep that post going and going and going. So a question can be a really good thing to add into any type of post. So a few new types of posts coming out that your viewers might not be aware of. So LinkedIn Stories hasn't hit the UK yet, but is about to. So you might not be aware of that. But obviously Stories started out on Snapchat and then they moved across to Instagram. And LinkedIn Stories is currently being tested in 5 big marketplaces for LinkedIn at the moment. So watch out for that, because I think that's gonna take LinkedIn by storm. Up to 100 stories a day, up to 20 seconds per story on the mobile only, but it's in beta test mode at the moment. And I think that's going to be a bit of a game changer for LinkedIn. I don't think everyone will engage with it, but I think the people that do, that are early adopters of stories, will have a big advantage. You've got polls. So polls is quite new. They only launched in May. If you're running any kind of events, you can upload events now directly to LinkedIn and invite people to your events through LinkedIn. So there's so many things you can do that people aren't really aware of. But it's very much about just keeping it consistent, showing up, being visible, and keeping it varied as well.
What about LinkedIn Live? Obviously, I've never.
LinkedIn Live is it's an application process at the moment. There's a lot of people applying for it. It's a 3 to 6 month approval process. Normally, you need to be doing a lot of lives on other channels for you to be approved. And normally they're looking for kind of 10,000 plus followers as kind of influencers being given it. If you're brand new to LinkedIn and you're applying for live at the minute, don't expect that to happen very soon. I don't have it yet, and I've got 20,000 plus followers, and I applied like 5 months ago now. So it is just one of those things that, you know, you've got to apply it and you've got to be using live elsewhere. It's a bit clunky. It does need things like Restream or other kind of third-party applications. It's not quite as easy as Facebook. But there are quite a few people doing lives quite successfully, and a lot of company pages as well also using live. Like Pfizer, the pharmaceutical company, are doing a lot of good lives. World Health Organization are using LinkedIn Live, and a lot of other influencers too. So
yeah, that's really good, fantastic. I got another question here from Sven. He's on it. Sven. Thanks for the questions. So yeah, hashtags. Obviously, some of them say, can you share a bit about hashtags? Some use them like on Instagram, but I know that's not how they work. So yeah. How many should we be?
Hashtags are quite new on LinkedIn. It's a great question. Thank you, Sven. So they're quite new. It is possible to get your content trending in a particular hashtag. Not too difficult to do as long as you use the right ones. I would recommend no more than 3 hashtags per post. Instagram, it's a bit more like 30. But you know, three max 5, but 3 seems to be the optimum. I'm connected to about 600 other LinkedIn experts and some of the top ones around the world. And it seems that the testing is showing about 3 to be the optimum. I wouldn't pick ones which are very broad. So I wouldn't pick something like hashtag sales, for example, which is followed by 5.9 million people. You'll never get trending in something like that. But for example, hashtag social selling only followed by 30,000 people, I can easily get trending in a hashtag that's got a lower number of followers. So try and use ones which are a bit more niche, much more aimed towards your target market. And I've got somewhere between 5 and 30,000 kind of is a good number of followers. If you're not sure how to find out how many followers a hashtag has, just go into the search bar on LinkedIn, type in the hashtag symbol and type in your keyword or your hashtag that you want to look up. Follow it and also have a look at how many followers it has currently. I do recommend also finding your own hashtag. So mine is hashtag Awesam, AWESAM. That's my kind of standard hashtag that I use on most of my posts. And I'm quite well known for that hashtag as well. So, so if you have like a theme or a personal brand, like Awesam is my personal brand. I've got a whole new website being built around the Sam Rathling Awesam brand. And if you have something like you are known for something, so I had a client attend my LinkedIn masterclass a few months ago now, I think right before lockdown in February, and he's in outsourced procurement. So he created the hashtag, the procurement guy. And that's now his standard hashtag that he uses on all of his posts. And he's starting to get known as the procurement guy. So I think you can very easily use ones that are out there, but also think about, could you have a personalized hashtag that's relevant to your business that gets you known for something?
Yeah, fantastic. That's lovely. And with regards to like searching, so as I said, using the hashtags to search other content that might be of interest, is that worthwhile? Obviously, doing that.
Oh, definitely, yeah, for sure. So have a search on a topic or a hashtag that you would like to follow. You'll see all the other content that's out there. It's a great way for finding prospects as well. I had a couple of girls a couple of years ago now attend my course, and they were focused on only selling a particular app to billionaires with yachts that were bigger than 65 meters long. So I was like, wow, that's a target market and a half. So I suggested them following the hashtag super yachts. And we went to look at hashtag super yachts, and of course all these amazing posts came up of all these amazing boats. But more importantly, the people that were posting about super yachts were exactly in their target market. They were brokers of large yachts. They were people who with an interest in it. They were companies that also service the same sector that they could build relationships with. So think about the hashtag as twofold. Number one, how can I get my content trending in a particular topic that might get my brand seen by more people? But secondly, how can I search and research hashtags that I can find potential prospects that could be good for my business?
Brilliant. Oh, that's really good. Just had a little message come through from the lovely Darren. Oh, it's lovely to see you. Darren saying, hey, Joe, hey, Sam. He's been on calls. Behind. Yeah, no, thanks, Darren. I said, obviously, Darren and Danny have been creating our new app, which we're hoping to launch.
Amazing.
So yeah, we're really excited that that's obviously going to be part of our membership as well. So as I said, we can have all of our top tips and stuff and all of the video and the content and accountability, all the stuff through our lovely app. So welcome, Darren. So lovely to see you. Right.
Well, Darren's got a question for me.
I know, I'm sure he's got a question. He wants to put us on the spot and find something interesting to say. So
no, he definitely will have a question.
Love a question. Yeah, so one other quick one that obviously I wanted just to run through quickly with regards to LinkedIn. Obviously, you can have the extra paid stuff as well. Can you just run through, because obviously you've got the sales navigator, haven't you? And you've also got the premium one as well. So can you run through what they are, how to use them, what sort of costing, and how our members can kind of benefit if they do want to.
Yeah, so the free version, you can pretty much do a lot of stuff on the free version. I normally say to people, don't start paying for LinkedIn like premium or navigator until you're fully clued up on how to use the free version. Premium, I believe, is a complete waste of money. It doesn't really give you much for the investment other than a few in-mails, which I don't normally recommend people use because an in-mail tells someone that you're trying to sell them something. So why would you want to send an in-mail? There's much more effective ways to connect than through an in-mail. And also profile views, which, to be honest, like they can be useful, but they're not. I mean, for 50 quid a month, it doesn't really give you what you would need to properly like ramp up your LinkedIn. Sales Navigator, on the other hand, is flipping amazing. It's like the Formula One of LinkedIn. It's just incredible as a tool. And when I go into very large corporates, I'm brought in to go and work with big sales teams all over the world who are already using Sales Navigator. The company's invested in licenses for all of these people, but yet their teams still aren't generating enough leads. So there's no point in giving somebody an incredible tool like that and putting them in there to drive it without actually showing them how to properly do it. So I spend a good few hours on my courses where I'm teaching mostly on the free version. I show the difference between the two. So the advantages of Navigator, and it's £69.98 a month, something like that. That's including VAT. So Navigator allows you to have a lot more filters on your searches. So if you're doing prospecting and you're in a business development role, or you're in your company, you're mainly responsible for bringing in new clients, it will give you quite a lot of specific filters, such as the company size. So if you were going, Joe, what kind of company size would you normally be targeting?
We're going for mostly SMEs, so probably the people with 1 to 10.
1 to 10 employees. So you can't, on the free version of LinkedIn, specify the size of company. So you could put a search in for an MD or a CEO or founder of a business, but it doesn't specify the size of that business. So in Sales Navigator, you can filter by size of company. You can go a lot more deep on geography. So if you wanted like people within a 10-mile radius of where you live, you can do that with a Navigator, not on the free version. And there are a lot more other filters in there that give you a much more targeted list. You can save all your lists, you can save all the accounts that you're following, and it does give you unlimited searches, which on the free account, if you've ever done any form of searching or prospecting on LinkedIn, you hit this what's called commercial search limit, which is where LinkedIn says, sorry, you've done too many searches for the month. You need to wait till the first of the month next month in order for you to activate the search function again. So if you've ever hit a commercial search limit, Navigator would remove that. But again, there's no point in having a Navigator unless you're going to actually invest the time and energy in learning LinkedIn overall. So yeah, it's amazing. It's a phenomenal tool, but unless you really know what you're doing, I wouldn't be investing.
Definitely. No, that's good.
Before you invest in Navigator.
Yeah, this is the thing, isn't there? There's so many cool tools out there, but yeah, it's finding the time, isn't it? The energy and the focus as well to, make the best use of them, I suppose. Darren has come back with a question.
He had a question. I knew he would have a question.
I thought he would, yeah. I keep tickling LinkedIn. That sounds interesting. I love that. What should I focus on more? Articles or posts?
That's a great question, Darren. So you need to look at articles and posts in two different ways. An article is there to build your credibility and position you as a go-to expert. So if you think about being an expert authority in something, authority has the word author. Therefore, if you're writing about your topic, whether it be in a book or articles or blogs, that's positioning you as somebody that knows what they're talking about. With an article, because you're adding a lot more value and you're adding a lot more value, I would always recommend at the bottom of an article having like an about the author section with details of like call to action of where they need to go next, what's their next logical step to do business with you, to book a call with you, or to go to a landing page to sign up for something. You wouldn't be doing that in a post. So if you look at some of the articles I've written at the bottom, they all have about the author and kind of the next logical step. So you've got a lot more permission with an article to kind of do that, as long as the article is solid, aimed at your target market, and really, really good value. So I don't tend to post too many articles. I normally recommend one a month is a good amount, or one a quarter. You'll never get as much visibility on an article as you will do a post, but they're not for the same reason. A post is very much to do with building your brand, building awareness, getting lots of visibility and views on and eyeballs on your content. But they're very different things. So think about an article to build credibility and a post to build visibility.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's really good. Sven's just put a little message on saying, I've hit the search limit. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's either time to upgrade, or instead, obviously, just use it in a slightly different way, isn't it? Darren's got another question here. Is there any alerts for LinkedIn?
He's on the roll now, that's it.
Now he's got it all going on. He's like, I've got direct action to Sam to pick our brains. I love it, yes. So if anyone else has any other questions, feel free to pop them in, because now is the time.
Ben's got another one as well. Yeah.
Love it. Oh, is there any alerts for LinkedIn so I can be alerted on hashtag apps for when someone's looking for apps?
So you can set alerts in Sales Navigator for what people are sharing, but not specifically on hashtags. So you would have to manually go in and search for, you could follow hashtag apps first off. So anytime someone is using the hashtag on a post, you could follow it. So definitely go in and find hashtags for specifically for apps, app development, etc., and follow that. So you'll see that naturally coming through in your newsfeed. There isn't a specific like alert that will tell you somebody's posted about a specific thing. Yeah, so it's not really an alert as such. You just have to be a bit kind of on it rather than tickling it.
Definitely. And again, I think obviously with the used our example, but with the word apps, again, it's kind of having app or app development or
exactly. Yeah, there'll be a combination of keywords. You just meant the word apps. Okay, yeah. So, but I would follow the hashtag for sure, because if people are searching for, you know, some posts are going to be obviously competitor posts, which you should be aware of anyway. Some posts are going to be where somebody's actively going, can anyone recommend a good person for this? But yeah.
No, that's fantastic. Lovely. He's popped on here. I didn't mean to type hashtag. Just the word app. So yeah, obviously searching through the hashtags.
Yeah, so there isn't anything like a Google alert. You know, you can set up Google alerts, can't you, for specific words? There's nothing like that within the LinkedIn environment, no. But I would follow the hashtags for sure.
Yeah, fantastic. No, that's really good. Fantastic. And can you run through really quickly as well about our profile? I know obviously you've mentioned, and the amount of people that I see not really using their kind of background pictures, or kind of having pictures of their dog instead of their face, or not having a picture at all, because I think that's obviously quite different, isn't it? And I think just run through obviously some top tips of how to make your profile a bit more approachable, a bit more kind of as a leader and someone that you're trying to gain the authority from.
Yeah, it goes back to your ideal client. So write your profile very customer centric. So with your ideal client in mind, not with you. So don't make it all about you, make it all about your customer. The background kind of header image that you mentioned, if you've got a horrible turquoise one at the moment, you're missing a massive trick visually for that to be fully branded. Obviously, decent photograph, professional headshot, preferably. Not one from you 10 years ago that looks nothing like what you look like now. And the thing that people don't realize about their profile is that it's so keyword searchable. You can appear in top organic search results on Google just by having a LinkedIn profile that actually has the right keyword setup. So there are 6 or 7 places in your LinkedIn profile where if you put the keywords for what you want to get found for, then you can easily rank on Google through your LinkedIn profile without paying Google a penny. So at the moment, if you type in LinkedIn expert on Google, in the world, I come up number 2. And if I type in LinkedIn expert UK, I'm the first result that comes up. Now, there are a lot of people out there that would have the words LinkedIn expert on their profile, but not many LinkedIn experts know how to keyword optimize their profile to actually get them found. So I get quite a lot of leads coming just by people typing into Google. So it's almost, you've got to treat your profile almost like a landing page or a web page on its own, with the right SEO, the right keywords, with the right call to action, and using up all the tools that LinkedIn gives you. You've got 15 different sections of your profile that need to get focused on. So it's really thinking about, how can you ooze credibility and really position yourself as somebody that knows what they're talking about and attract people towards you. And finally, having some kind of call to action in there. So make it really easy for somebody to book a call with you, for somebody to, take action, whatever the next step is in your sales process. And the bit that very few people have got focus on is this featured section on your LinkedIn profile. Again, pop over to my LinkedIn profile. You'll see it there. You've got like a featured section where you can have links out to sign up for something, to your sales funnels, to your websites, to images, to PDFs, anything at all that you're using in your marketing outside of LinkedIn should be there sitting in your LinkedIn profile as the featured section. You can feature articles you've written. You can feature posts that you've written. So there's so many things you can do visually with your profile that people are missing a trick on.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've only recently come across that and kind of popped a few different, like our YouTube channel. We've just had a lovely video made and bits and pieces. So I thought, actually, where do I put that in there? Because again, a lot of the algorithms when you're posting, they don't particularly like you kind of coming away from that. But the featured place is where it's all at, isn't it? That's where to put it, I suppose. See, the more visible you are and the more credible you are, the more opportunities and the more connections and the more interactions that you're going to have, and hopefully that will lead to sales and
sure.
Obviously. Darren is really on a roll. Here we go. So we got another question. So, question for a friend, a hairdresser mentor. So, hairdressers, do they frequent LinkedIn? Better question. Whatever industry.
Well, whilst you were asking me that question, I had seen it pop up, and there are currently in the UK 26,000 hairdressers on LinkedIn, Darren. So I think the answer might be yes.
There's a few, absolutely. Not that Darren needs too much of a hairdresser. Bless his cotton socks. Fantastic stuff.
Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend. I love that. Oh, amazing, super stuff. But yeah, I think LinkedIn is got so much possibility, isn't it? But it's kind of harnessing its power and understanding how to use it. We're not going to be able to cover it all in the next 45 minutes.
No, not at all. I spent 3 days teaching.
Connect. Yeah.
So there's so much to talk about, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to just give you the snippets, but hopefully people are picking up some good tips anyway. So.
Yeah, fantastic. No, that's really good. I said, obviously, yeah, I'll pop a link, obviously, with all your details in, Sam, after we finish the video, so that if people want to obviously connect with you or have any specific questions, they can obviously contact you from there as well. As I said, you do a lot of talks and a lot of sort of mastermind stuff yourself as well. So I said, yeah, do get in contact and check out all amazing articles.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, the easiest thing to do is just connect with me on LinkedIn. Obviously, people learn a lot just by following what I talk about on articles and posts anyway. If you don't have a copy of my book, that would probably be a good place to start. It's on Amazon, Kindle and paperback version, called Linked Inbound. So we'll pop the links in the comments below. And during lockdown, I created something called the LinkedIn or Linked Out Academy. So if you do want to learn more, and you want group coaching with me, as well as I've got 20 plus video modules you can go through that go into a lot more detail than we have done, obviously, in this session, then you can go to LinkedIn or linkedout.com and go find details of that there. So that's probably the next logical step for most of you. And I'm doing, hopefully in September, I'll be doing a face-to-face live 3-day masterclass. I've been doing them online for the last few months. But hopefully, yeah, we'll be back in the training facility, I'm hoping, by the end of September. And yeah, it's quite a small class. It's like usually six businesses just for a full 3 days deep dive, which is also usually very popular with people that want to take their LinkedIn to the next level. So thanks, Darren. He said,
nice to see.
For those who don't know Sam, she's amazing. Oh, thanks, buddy.
Oh, you're going to make her go blushy now. Thanks, Darren. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone that watched us live, and thanks, guys, for the little questions and stuff on there. We're going to have to wrap up now, but as I said, obviously, if anybody does have any other questions, pop it in the links below, and I'm sure Sam will be able to answer these for you. So brilliant. Thank you so much, Sam. It's been a pleasure.
No worries at all. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye. Stay safe.
Oh, so that was the amazing Sam Rathling. Thank you so much for joining us today on the live. And as I said, we'll pop the links up on how to connect with Sam on LinkedIn. And we hope that you will kind of take some of the top tips that we've really gone through today to optimize your LinkedIn profiles and get out there and connect with the world. So I'm Jo Lyons from Ambition Growth Network, and yeah, catch up with us next week for our next one. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.